Nayira began to feel the weight of the child's essence more deeply. Nights brought dreams she could barely endure. A kingdom in flames, faces of those who would betray her, shadows that whispered lies. Yet each morning the basin glowed a little brighter. Each morning she felt the child's pulse in her own heartbeat. Queen Moreni watched silently. "You must learn to love what you cannot yet touch," she said, "or the burden will break you." Nayira nodded. Her shoulders ached, her chest ached, her soul ached. But she did not falter. She endured. And in that endurance, she found strength. One evening, as the sun sank behind the cliffs, Nayira turned to Queen Moreni. "I will carry it," she said firmly, "but no one can know. Not the king, not the village, not even the spirits fully. Only I can bear this." Queen Moreni touched her shoulder. "You have made the right choice. Secrets will be your armor, and silence your shield." Nayira bowed. "I understand. I am ready." The grove whispered its approval, and somewhere far away the winds carried the faintest message to a throne that was still empty. The future is hidden in plain sight. Far beyond the hidden valley, the kingdom of Adebayo hummed with a restless energy. The city was alive with whispers, some of fear, some of curiosity, but none suspected the secret quietly carried by Nayira. King Oladiran sat in his throne room, surrounded by advisors whose eyes gleamed with ambition. One whispered to another, "The Queen's journey has taken too long. Perhaps the gods have forgotten us." The king's eyes, however, were clouded. He could not forget the prophecy he had been warned of. The heir will come through the unwanted. Each word burned behind his eyelids, yet no one in the palace knew what it meant. And in that ignorance, shadows began to move. In the palace gardens, a new figure arrived. A man cloaked in silks dyed the color of the river at dawn. He carried charm in his smile and danger in his eyes. He approached the king under the pretense of loyalty. "I have returned," he said, bowing deeply. "My service is yours always." But his intentions were hidden behind courtesy. He had learned of Nayira's path through secret whispers, and he would stop at nothing to seize what she carried. King Oladiran nodded, unaware of the man's treachery. "Serve well," he said. "Your loyalty will be remembered." The man smiled wider, concealing a dark promise. Queen Moreni had returned to the palace under the pretense of fulfilling her duties, but her mind remained on Nayira, far beyond the hills. She sensed a shift, a coldness in the air, a feeling that someone watched her, and by extension the child's essence. She sought King Oladiran privately. "My king," she whispered, "there is danger we cannot see. The child, the future, it is at risk." King Oladiran frowned. "I have trusted the gods," he said, "but your words weigh heavily. Tell me, what must I do?" Queen Moreni's lips trembled. "Watch your court. Trust no one blindly. Some who bow to you may already plot against us." The king's jaw tightened. The first cracks in trust had appeared. Back in the hidden sanctuary, Nayira felt a shift in the air. A shadow moved across the cliffs. The wind whispered threats that her ears alone could hear. She went to the basin, the womb of destiny, and found ripples that were not caused by her hands.
A soft voice hissed through the trees. "You carry what does not belong to you. Hand it over, and no harm will come to you." Nayira's heart raced. She realized the journey had become far more dangerous than she had imagined. She pressed her hands over the basin. "I will not yield," she whispered. "You cannot take what is not yours to touch." The shadow retreated, this time, but the warning had been delivered.
Within the palace, the stranger began sowing seeds of mistrust. He whispered to advisors, "The queen hides more than she reveals. Perhaps the king is blind." And to the king, "Some secrets demand sacrifice, sire. Even those closest to you may betray you if they fear what you cannot control." The court shifted, glances darting like snakes. Whispers spread like wildfire, and the palace, once a place of order, began to tremble under the weight of suspicion. Trust would become a luxury the king could no longer afford. The next night, Nayira's rest was shattered by visions of fire and shadow. She saw a hand reaching toward the basin, a hand not her own. Queen Moreni appeared beside her, face pale. "The palace has changed," she said. "Some have learned of your path. They do not understand, Nayira. They will try to claim it." Nayira's chest ached. "This child, this future, I cannot let them take it," she said, her voice trembling yet firm. Queen Moreni nodded. "And you will not. But you must be clever. Strength alone will not save us now." Nayira looked at the basin and whispered softly, "I am the vessel. I will endure. I will protect what they cannot see." And in that moment, the bond between guardian and destiny deepened. A week later, under the cover of fog, the stranger made his move. He slipped through the forest, silent as smoke. He reached the sanctuary, his eyes glinting with greed. But Nayira was ready. The moment he touched the basin, the water glowed violently, pushing him back. A force older than the kingdom itself seemed to rise, shaking the leaves and rattling the cliffs. Nayira stepped forward, holding nothing but her hands over the basin. "You will not touch this," she said, voice echoing like a drum through the valley. "You have no claim." The stranger staggered back and raged. "You cannot stop what is coming," he spat. But the basin remained calm once Nayira's hands pressed against it. She realized then that the power she carried was as much within her as it was in the child's essence. The stranger fled, but the warning remained. Others would come. Nayira felt exhaustion, fear, and a strange exhilaration all at once. Queen Moreni knelt beside her, taking her hand. "You have passed the first test," she said, "but many more will follow, and each will be harder than the last." Nayira met her gaze. "I am ready," she said. "I am not the outcast they think I am. I am the guardian of what the world cannot yet see." And in that moment, the sanctuary seemed to breathe with her, acknowledging her vow. Fog rolled through the hidden valley like a creeping shadow. The basin glimmered faintly, reflecting the moon and stars. But the peace was fragile. Nayira had just finished her nightly vigil when a scream tore through the trees. She bolted to the grove entrance. Figures moved in the mist, silent, swift.
The stranger had returned, but this time he was not alone. Shadows darted like snakes, armed with blades and poison-tipped arrows. Nayira's chest tightened. She pressed her hands to the basin. The water shimmered violently. But the attackers ignored the magic, moving as if they had been trained for this moment, trained to breach destiny itself. Queen Moreni appeared behind her, dagger drawn. "We must fight, Nayira, or it is lost."
The attackers surged forward. Nayira stepped into the center of the grove. Hands hovering over the basin, she whispered, "You will not touch what does not belong to you." The basin's glow erupted. A force, ancient and unyielding, pushed the attackers backward. Yet one shadow pressed on, the stranger himself, his eyes cold, smile gone. "You think a girl can stop destiny?" he hissed. "You are nothing." Nayira's heart pounded, but she met him with calm resolve. "I am not nothing," she said. "I am the vessel of what must survive." The ground beneath him trembled, roots twisting like hands, forcing him back. But even as he retreated, Nayira realized something terrifying. The power of the basin could protect the child, but it could not protect her fully. Smoke curled from the edges of the grove. A small fire had been set as a diversion. Queen Moreni shouted, "Nayira, leave the basin! Save yourself!" Nayira's mind raced. The child's essence must not be exposed. But if she left, the sanctuary and everything they had fought for would be destroyed. And then she made a choice. She would carry both the child and the danger herself. Hands pressed against the basin, she muttered an old incantation Mama Sade had taught her. The glow spread like sunlight through branches, forcing the attackers to stumble back. A flash of pain struck her chest. Her vision blurred, but she did not falter. Queen Moreni watched in horror as Nayira's strength became both shield and spear, holding the future in her arms while the fire licked the grove's edges.
After the attackers fled, silence fell. Smoke lingered. The grove seemed to sigh. Nayira sank to her knees. The basin glimmered faintly, safe. Queen Moreni knelt beside her. You protected it, all of it," she whispered, awestruck. Nayira's hand hovered over the water, and then, as if in response, the basin shimmered and a faint voice whispered, "The Guardian understands. The heir is safe, for now." Nayira trembled, realizing this child, this future, was not merely a hope for the kingdom. It was a bond that would define her life forever. And yet a shadow of doubt lingered in her mind. The stranger had fled. He would return, and next time he might succeed. Back in the palace, King Oladiran paced in his chamber. His eyes darted toward the sealed doors of the throne room, where secrets were kept like predators. An advisor whispered, "Sire, the queen, the child, we have heard rumors. Something hidden, dangerous." Oladiran clenched his fists. The prophecy burned in his memory. The heir will come through the unwanted. For the first time, he feared that what he had kept secret might already be beyond his control. And the world of men, with all its power and pride, was blind to the sacrifices made in hidden valleys. The battle may have been won, but Nayira felt it in her body and soul. Her chest ached from exertion. Her hands trembled from the weight of destiny. And in the quiet after the fire, she realized this path was lonely, painful, and filled with choices that no one else could bear. She spoke softly to the basin. I will endure. I will carry you, even when the world tries to take you from me. And as she spoke, the basin shimmered brighter, as if acknowledging the courage, resilience, and love of the outcast girl who had become a guardian of kings. The sanctuary slowly returned to calm. The fire left its marks. The attacker's threat lingered. Queen Mereni tended to Nayira's wounds. You have changed, she said quietly. You are no longer simply the outcast. You are the protector. Nayira looked at her reflection in the basin. The spiral mark on her back glowed faintly in the dim light, a symbol not of curse, but of purpose. Somewhere far away, the kingdom remained unaware of the danger it had skirted, but Nayira had learned a truth that would guide her forever. Destiny is not gentle. Destiny is not fair, and yet it must be carried no matter the cost. The ground shook faintly under approaching horses. King Oladiran had arrived, not knowing what awaited him, only that the kingdom's fate had called him here. He dismounted in the sanctuary, his eyes wide with awe and fear. Nayira stepped forward, her shoulders squared. This is what you did not see, she said softly. The heir you sought, the future of Adabayu, I have carried it in secret. The king staggered, staring at the basin, at the glow, at the spiral mark on her back. The prophecy, it was true, he whispered, and you bore it all. Nayira bowed slightly. I endured, she said, and I protected what the world could not yet bear. The basin shimmered, and a soft voice emerged, pure sunlight. I am here. I am ready. I have always been here. Nayira felt warmth bloom in her chest. Queen Mereni stepped forward, tears in her eyes. You have kept us safe, she said to Nayira. You have given us the impossible. The king knelt, humbled before the outcast who had carried his lineage. You have changed me, not just as king, but as a man. Your courage, your endurance, it has saved this kingdom. Nayira did not move the basin. She understood the weight of what she had done. She had given life to the future, and now the world would see it. Word of the sanctuary spread, eventually reaching Ilu Akori. The villagers who had once rejected Nayira stood in stunned silence. The outcast they had shunned was the protector of the king's heir, the one who carried hope when all else failed. Mama Sade approached Nayira, a smile breaking across her weathered face. You endured, she said simply, and now the world knows your worth. Nayira's eyes glistened. She had carried exile, danger, and prophecy, and at last her burden was acknowledged, respected, and honored. The sanctuary glowed one final time. The child's essence shimmered and pulsed in harmony with Nayira's heartbeat. The spiral mark on her back glimmered, no longer a sign of curse, but of destiny fulfilled. In the valley, the wind carried the whisper of the prophecy. The outcast endured. The heir is born. The kingdom rises anew. And for the first time in her life, Nayira smiled freely, not as an outcast, not as a burdened vessel, but as the guardian of hope, the one who had carried what the world could not yet see and changed everything.